So it looks like we are live. Ma'am, Coach, Dr. Candace, all the many things that I call you. Thank you so very much for joining me for Flow Friday today. I am ecstatic about having you to really finish up, or not even finish up, just talk more about what we talked about during the podcast this week and get into the root. And so I'll have you kind of introduce yourself in a moment, and just want to check in. And number one, see, how are you? How's the week been for you? Being in Texas with all the stuff going on.
This year, aka this week, has been
So the week's
crazy.
been a year is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You know how in the Bible it says to God 1,000 years is but a day?
Ma'am? Yes.
Bruh, it has been crazy. It's been crazy. So the word is gratitude at this point. Just gratitude. We're in our apartment. Gratitude. We have running water. Gratitude that I have the ability to let people know that I'm okay, because some people are okay, but maybe the phones, like the cellular service, Wi-Fi has been out in different places. So anything that I have going on here, like I shared with you, our fire alarms, the smoke alarm is like beeping, which is annoying to me and a pet peeve of mine. And we can't do anything about that, but that is an inconvenience. That's not anything to complain about. Like, that's my major, my problem is my smoke alarm is going off.
You got a first world problem, a beeping smoking alarm?
Like here, the sprinkler systems have frozen and then made the roofs collapse in people's apartments, in their houses. I would rather my thing be beeping until the cows come home than my apartment crash in on me. So, I'm great. We're great.
I'm so thankful. So thankful. And Dion says hello. Hey, P2P, Miss Dion. I know that I have quite a few friends that are in Texas, and I know Texas is a big old state, right? But even down in the Houston area, a couple of folks that have not had power, that don't have water. And so I'm really grateful as well that you are doing good and that everybody's safe. And I'm ready to jump on into this conversation, ma'am, about getting to the root. Oh,
Let's go.
Before we do that, I want to let everybody know that, of course, I met you through Purpose to Platform and felt immediately drawn to you. Really love what you do in the wellness space. And it's not just wellness. And if you haven't listened to the podcast episode, listen, y'all. Coach Candace got all the degrees, but in good order, right? Like just so many different things from girl, I'm gonna let you do it because you have all the degrees. I'll forget a couple, but just so much, and they go so well together, and it not only positions you as an expert, but even with your experience. And so I'll let you run with that, and then we'll jump into this whole getting to the root thing.
Well, good evening, everyone. Whether you're catching this live or on the replay, my name is Candace R. Brookins, affectionately known as Doc C, your WCE Wellness Coach Extraordinaire. And like Nicole said, I have all of the degrees. So I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in health, physical education, and recreation and sport. And then from there, I moved out here to Dallas to get a doctorate degree. So I have a doctorate in chiropractic. And because I love learning all the things, I have certifications in all manner of stuff. And in, what was that now? I guess October of 2019, I graduated from Plant-Based Culinary School with my vocational certificate as a plant-based chef because I am a vegan. I've been vegan. Actually, next month will be my 4-year vegan anniversary.
Oh, happy early anniversary. Uh-oh, you froze a little bit. Uh-oh. Well, at least it's a pretty smile that you're frozen with. We'll wait a couple minutes. Dr. Candace was just saying that she is a a vegan chef, and she's been vegan. It's going on 4 years. And while we're waiting for her to get back in, let me tell you guys about these plant-based muffins that she makes, right? I purchased some and she had to tell me to share them with my son because it's this chocolate chip and this lemon blueberry that she has that is so phenomenal. Does not taste like it's vegan. I had to ask her, like, are you sure this got what kind of vegetables this got in this? Because I am not quite convinced that these are vegan. So I'm sure she'll jump back in as soon as she can. But until then, let's talk a little bit about getting to the root. So, in the podcast, we talked about how our habits, our mindsets, our time, the things that we do are really rooted in our experiences. And it looks like Coach is back. Hold on, let me bring her back on in here. I was telling them about those muffins, ma'am, how I had to really question you about were they truly healthy and vegan because they didn't taste nothing like that. And Lacey said allegedly they are chocolate and asparagus.
It's not asparagus, Lacey. It's zucchini, girl.
Same thing is green. Listen, they it does not belong in muffins, but you cannot taste it. So, okay, you go right ahead.
So, yeah, I'm just interested in all of the things. I thought I wanted to be a researcher when I was younger. My father has sickle cell anemia, and he just had a really rough go of it. He's really had a rough go of it. And so I thought, okay, I want to go into medicine and I want to figure this thing out. And then I got to college and started pipetting and stuff, doing that gel electrophoresis. And I was like, nah, that ain't
what we ain't gonna do.
no, So I just was an athletic trainer and I was really interested in sports medicine. So I got my degree in that, and then I got certified later on, and I got my master's degree in exercise science. And then I was like, I think I want to do something a little bit more. So then I started chiropractor school because I wanted to be a healer, but I didn't want to use drugs to do that. I wanted to help people facilitate the healing process. And so went through chiropractor school, learned about holistic nutrition, learned about just wellness in general, and I was hooked. Your girl is hooked. So through that process of just wanting to know all the things, I have an alphabet behind my name and all the certificates, all the things.
But you know what? They came in handy when I was even in your coaching program, right? For me on the other side, because what I've shared publicly is that you helped me release my tobacco addiction. And really, it's so much more than just stopping, right? There's this whole process. And literally, y'all, she made me get to the root. And I was so mad at her, right? And Lacey knows a little bit about that because I just told Lacey yesterday I didn't like her because that's what we do, right? We help each other. But we tell each other the truth. I'm like, what you're not gonna do is call me at 10 o'clock in the morning and tell me X, Y, and Z. Anywho, Dr. Candace has been that way since the beginning and really helping to get my mind right when it came to getting to the root of what was going on. So, can you just talk a little bit about what that is, right? Getting to the root. What does that mean?
So, getting to the root is sometimes we will be going through a situation and you can kind of see the pattern and you're like, why does this keep happening? Like, everything looks good on paper and you're like, if I just do this, it'll turn out like that. And it goes this way or it goes that way or it does something else. And it's like, what is going on here? I know I can follow instructions. I know I'm not stupid. So what is the problem here? And getting to the root is actually sitting down and stop looking outside of ourselves at the diet plan, the new significant other, the new job, the lesser weight, all of these outside trappings that you think are, okay, if I just had this, then it would be that. No, it's taking the time to look at, what about me? What's going on with me? What about my habits? What about how I talk to myself? What about my upbringing is causing this fruit? Because we usually have an issue with the fruit and we don't ever look at the root. It's like, why is this happening? And it's like, it's your roots, babe. What are you believing? What are your practices? What is that? So let's get to that. Why are you motivated to do this right now and then you fall off? Why are you compelled to go after the next best thing instead of being content with what is going on with you right now, or what you have right now? Is it because you don't feel like you're enough? Is it because you don't feel like you're worthy? Is it because you saw somebody else doing that? Let's get to the root of why you're doing what you're doing, because even if you change, you can paint those apples on that tree. They're still not going to be peaches.
We can paint them, right? But it doesn't change the inside. Oh my gosh. And Tina Maria says, hello. Hey, thanks for joining us. So I think I said Danielle, but what I meant was Lacey and I, as she was snatching my edges the other day, we were talking about, not only is it getting to the root, but it's the seed, right? What seeds have been planted? So when you're working with people, what kind of seeds do you see are being planted that cause unhealthy habits or unhealthy mindsets? And then I want to ask you after that, what do the seeds and roots have to do with capacity as a capacity coach? So we'll start with the seeds and we'll go to the two-parter.
So seeds look like tradition. Seeds look like any number of things, but tradition. We've always done it this way. That's what mama did. It didn't kill you. You're still here.
It made you stronger, but not really.
Yeah, it made you stronger. There was character building. Seeds look like limiting beliefs. We don't have that kind of money. We don't come from money. We don't this. And then you start to believe that because what you see around you supports what's being said. Seeds of doubt. Seeds could look like well-intentioned criticism.
Ma'am, goodness. And so how early do you think, in your opinion and experience, are these seeds planted? Because I know, as Lacey and I were talking, really thinking back, I feel like some seeds are planted in different phases, right? Like for me, I can remember back to like maybe 5 or 6, and then some more seeds being planted at 9 and 10, and then as a teenager. And so where do you think the
toddlerhood, so 5 to 7 seems to be, from my experience with other people and even my personal experience, some of the things that I've really had to go back and like
and throw it over your shoulder from both sides.
Yes, are things that I can remember from 5, that I can remember from 7. And you're actually cognitively just a sponge. When you come out, you are a sponge. So you actually start building these pathways and stuff. And like the critical point cutoff is like 7. So like from that point on, you're hearing, even in the womb. That's why they are like, play music for your baby and talk to your baby. We are taking in information in the womb. So it's an ongoing process, but it just depends. And I'm sure Lacey could speak to this better, but trauma can imprint you at any point. So it's really that, but that tends to be the sweet spot I've noticed just in people I've worked with and personally, 5 to 7.
Okay, that's good. And I think I agree completely, right? Because as I mentioned, that first memory of really even just my caretaking, right? Realizing, like, seeing my mom be stressed out, or, you know, wanting to help out with a younger sibling just to kind of relieve the pressure. And then that get it embedded in, hey, it's my job to do X, Y, and Z because it made mom feel better. It made me feel better, like all of these different things. And so with that, tell me a little bit about how you believe that these seeds and these roots impact our capacity as grown folks, as grown women.
Again, we pattern what we see. And so if you saw your mama take on everything and not have boundaries and not put herself first, and possibly self-medicate with shopping, with men, with alcohol, with whatever, then you're like, this is my hero. This is who I'm modeling myself after. So if she can do it, then I clearly have to do it. I have to do it. So let me burden myself down. Let me be a people pleaser. Let me be superwoman. And then when you burn out, you're looking crazy because it's like, but wait a minute, she did it. Why am I not able to do it? And it's like, babe, no, she didn't.
It looked like she did it, but what was really going on?
No, she didn't. But maybe you saw the coping mechanism and you just start to think, well, this is how it is. I don't have the right to say no. I don't have the right to say I'm tired. I don't have the privilege of being tired. It's like team no sleep.
Can we pause there? Because, ma'am, like the right to say no, right? Let's dig into that a little bit because so many of us, I know we talk about it, like you said, team no sleep. But in your experience, how many people that you work with really feel and believe that they don't have the right to say no? And how does that show up?
It shows up in being overwhelmed and being burned out and feeling unappreciated, resentfulness.
Beyonce wasn't lying when she talked about resentment. It wasn't just with Jay, y'all. Resentment is a real thing of burnout.
Yes. And it's all that's not being said because you've made this agreement in your mind that I can't say it. They are depending on me. I have to. Says who? Says who?
They said it. Who is they, right? We talk about that all the time. Like, they are the people that came together and made you believe that you can't say no, made you believe that you can't ask for help, made you believe that you need to be team no sleep, when really that's what's causing your demise. That's what's causing your breakdown. And so, oh my gosh, this is so good. So talk to us a little bit about how do we get to those roots? How do we identify them, right? Like, what do we do to get there? And then we can circle back to capacity. I know I'm jumping around, but roll with me.
Okay. I'm with you. I'm with you. So a couple of things that I invite people to do when they are desiring to get to the root is think about your values. What matters to you? And most of us have some core values. So love, family, service, faith. I've heard all of these before as people will say, these are my values. This is what I hold dear. And so once we've identified.
Evelyn said they are the ones who don't want your boundaries. Yes, ma'am. And hey, Chanel.
Absolutely.
Sorry. Go ahead,
You're
Coach.
precisely right. You're precisely right, Evelyn. So with that, if these are your values, then I ask you to look at if you say love or family is an important value to
you. Uh-oh, Coach froze again. We're talking about values. I know she'll pop back in. Oh, here you go.
Okay. Is it really in alignment with, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. You look all fuzzy. Okay, there you go. Voila, look at the magic.
Okay. So looking at your values, then look at your behaviors. And are your behaviors are they congruent with what you're saying? So, for example, your root that you shared with me was family.
Yes.
And you said it was family, and that kind of, we went a little bit deeper, and it's like love, connectedness, those were kind of your offshoots of the main root. And it was like, okay, so with that being your root, how are your behaviors being informed by this? Are you doing things that are supporting your highest self in being a loving person, or are you being codependent?
I was being codependent. I was not ashamed to admit that, right? But that's what this is about, because for me, with the family being the root, one of the things that I practiced a lot around when I was smoking was because I felt connected. Everybody was outside having a good time, right? Or like Evelyn and I talked about in another live, the traditions that you mentioned, the eating, right? When you're changing your habits and your family is just kind of looking at you sideways like, oh, you too good to eat the sweet potato pie. No, I love sweet potato pie, but what I'm trying to do, like the way my goals are set up.
Right.
And so for me, you helping me to realize that a lot of my behaviors were definitely rooted in wanting to have that love, wanting to have that connectedness. And so once you realize that root, how do you dig that mug up and like replant it, repot it, and get it all together?
Well, a couple of things that you can do, again, looking at your patterns. So if you don't like what you see when it comes to the root, do what you would do with anything else. Now, maybe with a weed, you would get all of it up and out. But let's say it's a plant that's otherwise healthy and just this part is kind of messed up. You starve it.
And what does that look like?
So that's your behaviors. If you know that going around your family at this particular time triggers you to do X, Y, and Z, remove yourself from the situation. Start having conversations with them saying, I want to spend time with you and this is how I can do it. So establishing boundaries and creating new habits for yourself that support whatever it is that you want to flourish in your life. Because we're on flow and flourish, right?
Yes,
so of course,
we
are. But don't feed it. Don't feed it. So if that, whatever, what your habits tend to be around whatever this thing is. So stop feeding it. And it will eventually dry up. Now, at first, it's going to be like, hey, come on, wait.
grabbing at you, right?
Come on, girl. You've been doing this for 20 years. And for 20 years, it ain't been serving you. But we ain't going to talk about that.
She's snatching, y'all. Be careful. Hold your hair.
It kind of part-time served you that one time, and then you got this imprint that, oh, okay, I can just keep doing this even though you're not getting the same result. But it worked. It kind of worked that one time. So let me just keep thugging it out and getting these terrible outcomes because it kind of worked that one time, or it looked like it worked for my mama. So maybe I just didn't do right.
Yeah. It's that coping mechanism, right? Like I know for me, we'll go back to smoking. It's like, I know that this is not good for me, but in the moment when I'm stressed out, it would feel good, or it's bringing that connection. And one of the things that you said earlier is that no matter how good you are in one area, because I was cool on paper, right? I was good on paper, good being a mom, good with all these different things. But it was this one piece. I'm like, how come I can't shake this? Like, why can't I do it? And really getting to that root is what helped me to do that so much. You also made me think about my relationship with myself. And so I would love it if you could talk about that and how that impacts capacity specifically.
Well, having gone through the Seedling Circle program, the 4 pillars. So radicals, which is a root, routines. So what's supporting your radical, relationships, and rest. So the relationship part is not just relationships with other people. It's not even just relationships with food or substances. The main one, other than your spiritual relationship, is with you. Because we can be great friends, we can be great partners, we can be great producers for our jobs and all of that. but the same care, consideration, time, and effort that we put into other relationships, we don't put into ourselves. And we will go and we will, go to the ends of the earth for other people and be completely depleted for ourselves. We will talk to ourselves in the most disparaging ways, and I can't do that. I'm not good at, I've never been, all of this just terrible stuff that we do to ourselves, that we'd be ready to fight somebody if they did our child like that, if they did our mother like that, if they did our spouse like that. But when it comes to us, it's just like, oh, well, maybe. And then it doesn't work out. And it's like, okay, let me cope. Let me self-medicate with shopping. Let me fall off the wagon with my diet. Let me, you're trying
to get back on Monday. Don't worry about it. It's the weekend. I'm going to put it to the side right now.
But it's not dealing with what's going on with you. So some of us will even use helping other people work through their stuff to avoid working through our stuff.
Lord, me and my sister were just talking about that 2 days ago. Like, literally, that's where that caretaker comes in, right? Gosh.
No, you can't do that. So your relationship to yourself and wanting to pour from your saucer, as Jatia says, so not from your cup, pour from your saucer. So if you got
that overflow,
you got the saucer, you want to be able to give from the saucer, not from the cup. You got overflow. So that's what you have to really focus on, because people just be like pouring it out. And it's like, well, once you're empty, then what? If you haven't thought about what replenishes you, if you haven't not even just thought about, you've started practicing replenishing yourself, it could take you years to get back to where you were just functioning, not where you were thriving, not where you were transformative, but just to function. But we don't get that conversation a lot. It's like, girl, grind it out. It's all right.
Keep going. God won't give you more than you can handle, right? Oh, and they're going off in the chat over here. Aaron's here. I saw Trisha join earlier. Hey, Vanice. And Evelyn said that that's the whole word, right? We'll take care of someone else's problems to avoid taking care of our own. And something you just said too, right? Like, we do all of this and we do it to our detriment, and we're not giving ourselves the grace that we give everybody else. And so you said, what happens when you are empty, right? And I've shared, and I'll keep sharing till I'm blue in the face, that what happens is you end up in a situation similar to me, right? You end up in ICU not realizing that you've been running on E at max capacity for all of this time. And then it takes you time to get back to just functioning, not even thriving. And I can tell you that my whole come to Jesus moment was 2 years ago. And I'm just now honestly getting to a place where I do have a little bit of overflow, a little bit, right? And so working to get through that and understanding what it looks like when you're on E, understanding how that impacts how you show up at work, how you handle your family, and really how you treat yourself. And one of the things that I also hear you say is that you have to be aware. You have to be fully aware, acknowledge what's going on, and then you got to make some decisions around either feeding or starving those roots, like recognizing what those are. And so I love what it is that you're doing. And I know that you have, outside of just the relationship piece, what else are we doing as we're trying to dig up and either starve pieces of these roots, cut them off, throw them away, replace them, grow something new?
Really, again, just that awareness part. So it can be really tempting to look at where you are and be upset, be frustrated, really have a pity party, or just like, girl, why haven't you, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I kind of got a glimpse of this 3 years ago. I didn't do anything about it. And then you go through this whole rabbit hole, and, and it's not productive. It's not productive. So be present. Feel the feelings, because I'm not telling you to ignore them, because they will pile up and
they come back. They don't go away.
no,
Believe you me. We
no.
listen. Feel the feelings.
Feel the feelings, but don't reside there. Don't
Mhm.
live there. And also practice gratitude. Practice gratitude. I'm aware now and I can start making some changes. I'm thankful that it's not as bad as it could have been. It's not as bad as it had been. What else? What small step can I do that I'm interested in doing? That's the big thing. Start with what you're actually interested and able to do right now. Don't
Okay.
overwhelm yourself trying to do this Herculean thing that even just
All the
thinking about
things.
it, you kind of like,
Like when I tried to quit drinking coffee all at the same time, I was like, boom, I'm not drinking no more coffee. I'm done. And what she told me was, girl, get real. So what you need to do is wean yourself off. But nobody else says that. Everybody else says just cut it off, right? And so that goes for different relationships. It goes for, you know, being in a job, weaning yourself off. So if you've been working 80 hours a week, you cut back a little bit more because it's unrealistic to go from here to here. Y'all can even see my hand from there to there, right? So thank you. What did Melanie say? She said, feel it, but don't live there. Yeah, because it piles up. Doc, are you froze again? I think Coach is frozen. But she's dropping some nuggets, y'all.
yeah. So
You're back.
the other thing that I said to you was, I know you're excited, but cool your jet, because people get really excited. So you were quitting tobacco. Now you want to quit caffeine. You're going through a business incubator. You're going through all the stuff. You're going through these career shifts. And what? No, no, ma'am.
It wouldn't have been
Drive slow,
successful.
homie.
Yeah.
Like,
She
no,
did. She
no.
said, pump your brakes. How dare you? I was like, clutching the pearls. Excuse me? Did you just tell me to pump my brakes? Yes, you did.
I
But it was
did.
necessary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're like 100% on everything, but are you actually? Because we're so used to multitasking, but you're actually 50% or 25% if you're doing 4 different things. You're not 100% on everything. It's just not possible. And then you're wondering why I'm exhausted. And it's like, okay, well, can you look at your routines? Are you doing the hard stuff when you're already dog tired? It becomes harder if you're already tired.
Hmm.
Look at your circadian rhythms. When is the best time of day for you to be productive? When your brain is fully firing? What situations do you need to cultivate to be able to do that?
Ma'am,
Hmm?
you helped me realize that, right? Because I kept thinking, as long as I have that coffee, I'll be good. And then I can do so much after 2 o'clock. But in working with you and being aware of what works for myself, I learned I'm most productive between like 8:30 and 2. Like anything after 2, it cannot be where I'm using my brain to synthesize, to really be creative, to do those things, because all my synapses are firing much more earlier in the morning, with or without coffee. And so really being able to be aware of what works for you is amazing. And you got my whole life together. I'll just say that. And I'll let you proceed.
So being present, being grateful, being honest,
Mm,
that's huge.
let's
Like,
let's pause there. Yes, because ma'am, you know I have these 5 pillars in what I do, right? Heart flow. Number 1, you have to learn how to be honest with yourself about what's going on in here, because it's impacting here and what's coming out of there. So how do we, and this sounds like a silly question, but how do we get comfortable being honest with ourselves? Like, what is the process for doing that?
for each person, it could be a little bit different, but what I found to be helpful for me is to just get quiet.
Mm,
So even though I love music, listen to it every day, it's not even having music on. It's for me first thing in the morning. For other people, it might be at the end of their day to just sit quietly, maybe burn a candle or some incense and just really have an inventory of this is how mine is right here.
Look,
I got one right here.
candle, incense,
Yes.
I'm with you. Yes.
Yes. And just how did I feel today? Why did I feel that way? Where was I responsible for how I ended up feeling?
Mm.
Because yeah, maybe someone talked crazy to you today, but did they talk crazy to you today because you let it slide 2 weeks ago? Or you've never had boundaries with them? Or were you passive aggressive and they just clapped back at you because you weren't communicating effectively? Or, I didn't get enough sleep. You need to have these conversations with yourself, because I know, at least for me, sometimes it's easy to become the victim or the martyr in a situation when honestly the person that was holding the sword that took you out is you.
Whew, Lord. So we taking ourselves out. That's what
Oh,
we do. Okay.
let me
Checking.
stay these extra hours at work when nobody asks me to, because I know it's important to the company, and maybe I'll get recognized, even though you're not really saying I want to be recognized. But then when you're not recognized, you're feeling away because do you know
Mm-hmm.
what I've done for this company? Do you know how many things I've missed? How much stuff I've done? Who asked you to do that? But then they get used to you
Nobody.
doing it. And when you stop, now it's a problem.
Yes. Listen, because you've
But you weren't
created that
honest.
problem. Yep.
Yes, you're at the root of that. You're at the root of that. And why did
Go
you
with
do that?
these roots, ma'am.
So why did you do that? Is it because you want to feel worthy? You think that your worth is tied to your output? Where did you get that belief from?
Mm.
Oh, I started thinking that when I was in school and I saw people that got good grades got more attention, or you got money. Like when I was growing up, you got dollars for A's. So hey, let me go on and knock these A's out. And so instead of
Yes.
celebrating, I got 6 A's, I'm thinking, dang, I missed out because I got an 89. So you
Yeah.
focused on the B instead of all the A's that you got. And now I'm trying to hustle. I got to do something to get these grades up. Even if that's not my strong suit and I did my best with that B, that's not enough because I need to get all A's.
Yep. Because there's a reward at the end of that. And you bring up a good point. We learn how to do that so early, right? Whether it is getting those good grades or even staying late. A lot of that, and I know for me too, was really rooted in wanting to be seen, because growing up feeling like a caretaker, right? I learned that I got attention with excelling at school. So getting those different A's up until the point where I was in my mid 20s, early 30s, and was about to go get a whole nother double master's after I had just finished getting a master's degree, and was like, self, are you crazy? Like, you have this 6-month-old son. You are working in this HR leadership job. You just got a degree, a master's degree, which is not easy to do while you're working and taking care of 2 kids, mind you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then going to get this other one. My self-esteem was so tied to being able to excel in school, because that's what made me feel good. And then when I put that to the side, it was, oh, I need to continue to climb the corporate ladder, because once I get the title, once I get the office, once I hit 6 figures, and even after doing all of that, the reason people are running around feeling unfulfilled is because they're not dealing with what's tied to their worth, what's tied to their value. And it took me literally being in ICU to figure out, I don't care nothing about that title. I could care less about the amount of money that I make, because none of that was going to save my life at that point. And I had to get quiet. I had to sit there and understand what was the work that needed to be done on the inside. So really get into those roots, and you being able to help so many women like myself to do that is literally priceless. Like, y'all, I don't know when Coach Dr. Candace is going to open back up her program, but I'm telling you, You got to get in it, because doing that work to really, even after going through P2P, right? Like I told you, I'm like, listen, I'm in P2P and I'm in command the stage. I was still on the go, right? And building this business, trying to take care of myself, had my own family stuff that was going on. And I had to get honest with myself and say, you doing too much. Look, capacity coach, how are you going to coach anybody on capacity when you have none? Like, you're telling people to make room, but you don't have any room. And you see that smile? That's what got me, because so lovingly, she's like, so let me get this straight. So you said you have some boundaries, right? And you said you want to do XYZ, but why are you running around and caretaking? Is that your priority? So even coaches need coaches, right? And so it just really being able to sit back and be honest with myself. And one of the things that you said around meditation, right? At first I was like, look, I can't meditate. Ain't nobody got time for that. Like, I got kids running around. Like, I can't even concentrate long enough. And so even in that moment, I had to give myself grace to say how I meditate is not going to be the same. Maybe I'm not sitting, crisscross applesauce, like my 6-year-old says, with my fingers like this breathing. It comes in different forms, right?
Right.
Listen, and he tried to tell me that I need to take a deep breath the other day. He was like, I need you to breathe in and breathe out. Okay, young man.
All right, Liam, let's
Whole
go.
another story. But we can see that that's working, right? But really being able to check in with yourself and allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. So between that meditation and journaling and just literally getting quiet, I had to learn that the quietness is key, right? Everything has to be off. Like no TV, no phone, no none of that. I'm laughing because everybody in the chat is going off. Darius said, yes, he did. And Manny said, I snatched my own edges. Yeah, I did. And yes, little Liam does have it locked. Like, got me all the way together. Like, Mom, take a deep breath. And so I encourage everybody to be able to do that, right? Like, the whole point of what I'm saying is to figure out what works for you. Because as you're on this journey to become the best version of yourself, whether you're trying to increase your capacity, you're trying to, lose weight, you're trying to release unhealthy habits, all of it's tied to getting to the root of what's going on. And as you mentioned, my root has been family and really wanting to feel that love. And so that boils down to worthiness, right? Do I love myself enough? Lacey said this. Do I love myself enough to do what I'm supposed to do to be me, to take care of myself? Right. Snatch my edges, everybody's edges. And so I want to know, how do we get there? Right? You've talked a lot about the relationships, the routines. What else can we do to really become that best version of ourselves as we're trying to get to the root?
Start where you are. Just realize this is where I am. This is temporary. Maybe I'm not where I want to be, but that doesn't mean that this is my final destination. So recognize this is where I am, and don't be in denial about that. Like, yeah, if you had started sooner, maybe you would have been further ahead, but you don't know, because life is usually best viewed in the rear view.
Hindsight is 2020. That's why they say that.
Oh, I totally would have done that different. Okay. But be intentional on what you're focusing on. So like I've said in the program and told you in coaching sessions, where you stare is where you steer. So if you are looking at, I don't want to mess up. I don't want to mess up. I've messed up 15 times. I don't want to mess up again. Why? I'm going to be so upset. I've been doing so well. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to mess up. If you're on a bike and you're like, I don't want to go in the ditch, if you don't stay looking at what's in front of you and you keep looking at the ditch, eventually you're going to start steering towards the ditch because that's what you're looking at. So make some bite-sized steps that keep you looking forward. And if you need to put blinders on, like a horse when they're racing, they don't get distracted, they have blinders on. So make some structure for yourself. If you know I tend to be distracted first thing in the morning, I want to scroll on Facebook, I want to scroll on Instagram or whatever, create blinders for yourself. Turn your app off so that you can only get to it
at certain times. Yep. Uh-oh, you froze a little bit. It sounds like those blinders need to be boundaries, y'all. That's what I'm hearing, right?
really. Just be honest about that. Well, maybe that's not the thing I need to tackle first. Maybe I need to tackle blocking my day and recognizing when I have the most energy and utilizing my energy to do one productive thing instead of 20 things, because we start to feel like if I didn't check off 20 boxes, I wasn't productive today.
Yes.
Ma'am, stop, sir, stop. Hey, stop.
Cut it out, right?
Because if you're an overachiever and a producer, you're used to knocking all of these things out. And then it's like, stop.
And then
Especially if you're all or none.
That's how we got burnt out, right? Because you've been so used to just knocking everything out that's become the norm. And so it's a mind shift when you have to step back. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, even over the last couple of days, stepping back, like, I've been intentional about not being on social media as much so that I could rest, so that I could replenish. I know that there are so many women that are waiting on me, so I needed to step back. But even then, as the capacity coach, I was like, my husband will tell you, I was like, ooh, I think I need to. He was like, you need to sit down. That's what you need to do. You need to take a nap. I'm like,
hey, chaperone, tell her.
Chaperone said take a nap. So I said, okay, night night. Right? Like, went to bed, slept late, did all of those things. When you realize that you running and doing all the things all the time and really trying to check off all 20 to 50, because some of us have 50 things on that list, right? When you realize you really need to only put 5 on there, and then you really should only be focused on 3, right? Like, that's what I feel works for me personally, because when you have so much on your list, you're already overwhelmed just looking at it. Like, you know what? I'm about to throw this across the room because there's no way I'm going to get all 20 of these things done. So stepping back and really allowing yourself the grace and the space to rest, to do what you need, to upgrade and update your mindset, to do the things that you need to do in order to starve some of those roots where you've learned how to keep overextending yourself. Like, you can't do that. So come on, Doc C, Coach Candace. Oh, I know I've had you on here for a while.
You have, but I just wanted to put in there on your to-do list, because I had this conversation with my mom. If she's watching, hey, Mom. She wanted to do like 3 things on her list or 5 things on her list. And I was like, but ma'am, if those things on your list have multiple steps, maybe you should do less. Love you. But yeah, I needed her to know that, because you will have something on there like clean the kitchen, but there are multiple steps to cleaning the kitchen. It's more than washing the dishes. It's more than, mopping the floor. It'll be decreasing. It'll be degreasing the stove. It'll be washing the dishes. It'll be changing light bulbs. It'll be defrosting the refrigerator. Ma'am, no, that's one thing. If you want to say I'm tackling the kitchen today, then have your 3 bullet points or your 5 bullet points, but also get help. You don't have to do all of that. Somebody else can load the dishwasher. Somebody else can, pull the frozen stuff out and look and see if this is, this needs to be thrown away. Like, everything doesn't have to be
sweep the floor. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Evelyn said something good over here. She says she gives herself 3 work-related tasks daily. And by the end of the work week, that's 15 important things that she's done for her business. That's so dope. I love that. Come through. And then Mad Niece, I love you. She said the multiple steps be silently jacking us up. Yeah, because you have 85 things that you're going to do with the kitchen. So what I hear you saying is really identify what those things are that you're going to do. And if it's one thing, but it's multiple, really listing those out and limiting them to a few, and then asking for help. And can I add something to that? Accepting that help. Like, don't just ask, but accept it, right? Because how many of us keep saying, I need help, I need help. And then the minute that somebody doesn't do it the way that we want it, you're like, get out, I got it. You wrote loading the dishwasher wrong. That is not where these forks go. I've been guilty of that, right? So let somebody help you after you've asked for the help. And don't be ashamed in asking for that, because that's why you're burnt out, because you keep thinking you got to do everything on your own. And again, this goes back to the root. If you saw your mom, your sister, your aunties, your grandmothers, your friends and family not ask for help, that doesn't mean that it worked, right? Like, get comfortable undoing, unlearning, and starving that sort of root so that you can indeed ask for and accept the help so that you're not burnt out.
So what helped me get over that guilt of asking for help or feeling a way about accepting help is they've got to learn. Because if
You
and
told
when
me
I
that.
die, if and when I'm no longer here, if they never got an opportunity to practice, did I really serve them well by doing it? Who does it serve for me to do it all the time?
Nobody.
So while I'm still here, let me be able to show you a better way to do it. But maybe you got a better way to do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But me just taking it from you takes the opportunity for you to grow, for you to learn, and possibly for me to grow and for me to learn. Because if you know how to do the dishes right now, I don't have to spend that time on that. I can spend that time on something else. And not be
Exactly.
pressed mad at you because you didn't do the dishes.
Right. And that's delegation, right? I know in my master class about a month ago, I talked about how important that delegation piece is, because not only does it free up your time, but it teaches other people around you, whether you're in a professional work setting or even at home, you're building trust. You know, you're trusting them, they're trusting you, you're helping them grow. So really allow them to do things, because like you said, and it's crazy because I coach people on this, right? I tell them they're going to figure it out. If you step back, like, they're going to figure it out. You might think you're the end all be all, but I guarantee you, if you got hit by a bus today, they're going to figure it out. So start letting them figure it out. That doesn't mean that you can't give them guidance and help along the way. But to your point, don't wait until I'm not here where you can't ask no questions. Figure it out. Help them to figure it out. Oh my gosh. Okay. So speaking of questions, anything else you want to add before I ask anybody if they have questions, additional comments, because y'all know I jump off here quick. So I'm going to pause before then. And Coach, if you have anything else you want to say, including how to find you, where you're at, what's going on.
Okay. Well, no, it's been a good conversation. I'm always excited to talk about this because I love to see people get it and run with it. So just because you learn principles or concepts from me, you then get to make it your own and figure out, okay, this is what works for me in this situation. This is what works for me in that situation. These are the people that I can call on. So in that relationship piece, we talked about social support and who are the people that you can call on you can delegate this to them. They can love on you. So your love languages, maybe acts of service is how people would love to love on you, but they don't know how. So you need to figure out, this is how I need help. This is what I appreciate. And that can deepen your relationship just because you're able to actually articulate, especially to men, because men like to fix it. And if you can tell him how to fix it, they just want to fix it. So if you can tell him how to fix it, you know, if you like, man, I'm tired of cooking, and he goes and get KFC, but you didn't, articulate, I would have liked a home cooked meal. Now you mad and he frustrated but you didn't want to cook or you didn't want to do dishes. I got paper
Chef Ron, don't you say nothing in the comments, Chef Ron, because we have this conversation all the time. We gonna leave that food example right there.
I mean, it happens a lot in relationships. People will hint at stuff and tiptoe around it and not really effectively communicate, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what I was expecting. And then you feel away and you acting a fool with people, and now they're responding, they feeling away because, oh, you didn't appreciate what I did. Well, forget you. I ain't gonna do anything else. And now you're like, why won't anybody help me? You weren't clear on what it is that you needed, why, or how they could help you. So again, you falling on the sword that you set up.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And I put this up here because that goes hand in hand, right? Evelyn, yes. When we do that, we are sending the message that it's our responsibility and that there's no, equity or pride in caring for our home. I literally, again, with that 6-year-old that just told me I needed to breathe, I had to have him clean up his stuff. And he's like, well, I don't like to clean. Isn't it you and Amaya's job? Sir, absolutely not. I said, you see daddy wash the dishes, right? And then he came back and said, well, daddy makes all the decisions because he makes all the money. So maybe I should go ask daddy.
Oh.
What? So of course, the mommy and me was like, let me tell you something, babe. We both make money in here, first of all. Okay. Secondly, it's everybody's responsibility, right? Like you have to clean up too. You make a mess, you have to clean up. And so now we're going to start implementing real life chores for you. So you're going to fix the shoes. You're going to put away dishes, like really being able to have everybody do it. And that's better for everybody. Everybody. Let's see. I'm scrolling through these comments really quick. Evelyn said, yeah, they say the craziest stuff. They do.
I have 2 sons. So there was absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way. So I'm the only woman in the house. No, you need to learn how to clean. You need to learn how to take care of yourself. Number one, because you're not always going to be here. But number two, if and when you get married, your wife is not going to look at me and be like, what is this?
What did your mama teach you? Nothing. No.
Lies and deceit. Lies and deceit.
What we ain't gonna do is send you in the world thinking that. No.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh my God.
They had to put their backs into it the other day. I was like, I need y'all to thoroughly clean your stuff because I'm done.
That's what we do. Like it's Team Roan around this household. Everybody does their fair share. So gosh. Well, ma'am, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for coaching me and helping me to switch some of my mindset and just really to have the transformation that I've had in my personal, in my professional life, just all of that. I genuinely love and adore you. Please tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay. So while I'm on Facebook, I'm not really for real. So
y'all better go to Instagram.
Yes, I am over on Instagram. So my Instagram handle for my wellness practice and just my lifestyle, and I do some influencer stuff over there on vegan products and stuff like that, is Planted Vibing with CRB. So that's Instagram. And then my vegan treats business is Mama Teen's Treats, which is named after my grandmother, Mama Teen Christine. So that's on Instagram as well. And that's MAMATINES Treats. And that's on Instagram. I do have Planted Vibes here on Facebook, and I do put some content on there from time to time. And I do have Mama Teen's Treats here on Facebook as well. But again, if you want to like see something consistently, I would go over to Instagram.
I'm just putting Evelyn's comment up here because I'm going to say it again. Them treats though, right? Make sure that you go and you follow Candace. Make sure that you also join the Flow and Flourish community if you're not part of it already. Also, make sure that you take your capacity calculator, right? Like if y'all have not taken this capacity calculator, I don't know what your life is about. It's going to help you get your life together. And as soon as Mama Teen's Treats are available, I will be expecting a text message so that I can get those. Okay, I'm ready and waiting.
Noted. Duly noted.
And I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Thank you, all of my P2P sisters, friends, family that came out to make this such a good conversation. We love you and hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Peace.